meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Consider approval of the March 5th regular session and March 5th closed session minutes.
Move approval.
Motion by Councilmember Hall, second by Councilmember Bramlett. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Under agenda adjustments, I need to add a closed session right after number 7. Motion by Councilmember Hall, second by Councilmember Dry. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. I have 2 unannounced delegations. First one is Michael Green, 320, I believe that's a 54 Pennington Road? 32084. 84, okay. To introduce himself.
Thank you, Mayor Michael, council members, and folks of the audience. Just want to take an opportunity to introduce myself to you. Hello, my name is Michael Green, and I'm running for the Clerk of Superior Court in Stanley County. So who is Michael Green? I'm a proud resident of Stanley County, a retired captain of the Concord Police Department, and a devoted family man who believes in faith, family, and community. I have 30 years of past law enforcement experience, and I have worked closely with the North Carolina court and judicial system during those 30 years. I believe in serving my community with professionalism and sincerity. Integrity, ethics, and customer service are my core values. During my law enforcement career, I worked on patrol. I was a DARE officer. Little side note for you, Danny Bowen was my DARE, we were roommates in DARE school. those were the 2 longest weeks of my life. And Danny understands, but he's a great guy. Okay, now back to the point, I'm sorry. A school resource officer, sergeant of the youth division. I was captain over special investigations, which included a street crimes unit along with vice narcotics, and I eventually went back to patrol where I finished my career and retired. Also during that time, I served on the Cabarrus County Juvenile Crime Council and the Teen Court Advisory Board. I currently serve on Crime Stoppers, an executive board, and have been asked to be a consultant for the Human Trafficking Task Force. Yes, I spent my career working in Concord, but Stanley County is my home. My wife and I have moved to Stanley County in 2008, and I have lots of family here in Stanley County. We have 3 grown children, 1 who lives in Albemarle in the city, 1 in Stanley County, and 1 in Concord. So why should you vote for Michael Green? The job of clerk of court and a police officer are very similar. My experience gives me a unique perspective on the office of clerk of Superior Court. Now that I've retired from law enforcement, I want to bring my experience, values, professionalism to my community where I live. I've always tried to use a common sense approach to problem solving. I've always taken the time to listen and understand everyone's point of view before making decisions. People truly appreciate it when you sincerely listen to them. Together with you, I want to make a difference in my community. Lastly, I'm a people person. I enjoy helping people. Understand when you come to the courthouse, it's not because you're having a great day. There's been some type of event in your life that has brought you there. So I want to make sure that you're provided with the best customer service available. I do not care if you're rich or if you're poor, you will be treated with dignity and the respect you deserve. I'm just a regular, ordinary man and not a politician. I just want the opportunity to work for you and serve the community where I live. I felt it was important to tell you who Michael Green is and not just a name on a sign when you ride by. I hope you will give me the chance to serve you as the clerk of Stanley County. Lastly, I would like to say I've always tried to live my life according to the Bible verse Matthew 25:40. And it's real simple. It just says, "Verily I say unto you, and as much as you have done unto the least of my brethren, you have done unto me." This was my call to community service and why I want to serve. Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you very much for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next unannounced delegation is Mike Upchurch, 1509 Moss Springs Road. He has a couple of topics he wants to talk to us about.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and rest of the committee, and visitors, and anybody else. Me and my wife have lived up here about 5 years. My wife passed away this past December. It's been hard. I have noticed that there there's only one retirement place someone can go without any restrictions as far as how much you make or whatever. And it's full. There's over a year waiting period for that. And it's amazing that there are no retirement communities or homes here in Stanley County at all. The new ones that they build up at the middle school or whatever, just me, I make $100 too much a month to qualify. I've had 16 surgeries. I can still do some things besides eat. But there's going to come a point in time when I want to, just say no more yard work, nothing like that. And the closest place is Concord. And I mean, I think that the city, the county, and I've been to the county meeting also, and I just think there ought to be something available to for the people who do get older. And there are no restrictions. You got a place to stay, live the last years of your life, and be comfortable. So, thank you.
I want to thank you for that, because that's something we've all identified as a weakness that we need to recruit, and we've tried to recruit. We've had one gentleman that is trying to bring in another assisted living, and we don't know where that stands right now. We're working with him to do some zoning issues, and that's been corrected, but I don't know where he stands on his funding to actually build it. But we do realize that, and we would love to see some developer come in and build a retirement community.
Right.
With no restrictions.
Right.
Yeah, that's the issue.
And also not necessarily have assisted living, because we have a couple of those, but I'm just talking about a retirement.
Right.
And like I say, my wife wants me, she asked me if I'd move to Concord, and I hate leaving here. I mean, I lived in Charlotte for 65 years, so I'm battle scarred, and I've really enjoyed it up here. And most of my friends are up here now. My best friend lives in Candor, which isn't that far, but now I have to go start a whole new life, and I don't want to.
And we agree with you, and I wish that council could do it, but council does not have, can't go out and build a retirement community, but we would be willing to work with any developer. We're losing residents all the time that want to go to a community where you have a retirement village, more or less.
Right.
And we do not have that right here.
And I just think you should. You're the
I agree.
the big city in Stanley County, So just my thoughts. And like I said before, I hate to leave.
Thank you. We agree totally. Thank you very much.
I may stay, but
If you hear of a developer, we'll be glad to work with them.
okay. All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'd like to say that Mike is also the godfather of the tall girl who works at Starnes Jewelry Store.
Aw. The tall girl. The tall girl.
Administrative reports, your monthly departmental reports are in your agenda. Does anyone have a question?
Well done.
Unfinished business number 3 is the second reading on ordinance 1804 to amend the zoning ordinance to allow tobacco consumption establishments in multiple commercial zoning districts. At the last meeting, this passed on a narrow margin, which required us to have a second reading. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Townsend, second by Councilmember, who said that, Dry. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Raise your hand, please. Those opposed? It fails 4-3. You got those?
I think so.
Got them? Okay. All right. Moving on to new business. Number 4 is consider adoption of ordinance 1806, changes to urban archery. If you read that ordinance, we have a section that we're going to have to modify if this is in your intent to proceed, and it deals with the 250 foot from a property line. Let me see if I want to see that it's worded that way. Michael, is it worded that way?
Okay.
Or did
Number
we word
3.
it? Number 3.
Yeah. It says the perimeter is what it says.
You would have to drop the perimeter of your area of consent if you're wanting to do the 2 acres, because there's no possible way to hunt on the 2 acres with 250 feet perimeter. I also, since this is the first time we've brought this back, I would encourage council to, if you're going to make a change and want to proceed with this at some point, to please put this on our social media and our website, and let's put it back out for comment. I know that after the article in the paper, I received some phone calls, and I think that we need to give everybody an option to privately contact you before we move forward with this. Mr. Ferris, you started to say something?
No, that's actually, I agree. I think I was trying to make that point, maybe I make it clear at the last meeting, that if it went down to 2 acres and we had the 250 feet from the perimeter, that pretty much takes out anything except the absolute square right in the middle of it. So, so I guess the intent is also to leave it, to reduce it. Sorry. We want 250 feet from the perimeter and also from a dwelling. Is that what we want to be moving forward?
I think the suggestion is to drop the 250 from the perimeter,
Right.
but keep the 200.
Sorry.
We're basically going to drop the last line,
That's exactly
basically off number 3.
Yes.
Right.
And if we go back and look at well, we probably have to go back and listen to the motion that was actually made, was to basically copy what Concord and/or Mount Pleasant were doing with the feet. At least it was my intent.
That's correct.
Council, I would encourage you to take a motion to drop that part from the ordinance and then bring it back to council again at the next meeting if that's what you want to do. It's up to you.
So moved. So moved that we drop that last line of number 3, section 1, number 3.
Amend the ordinance to drop
Take-
the last line. I
Right,
have a
that's
motion
what
by
I'm-
Councilmember Hall.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Aldridge. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Please raise your hands. I think it's 4-3. It is 4-3. Okay. You got that, Monk?
Bramlett, Dry, and Townsend opposed?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what do you want to do with the ordinance? Do you want to act on it tonight or put it back out on the website and the social media and wait another meeting?
Your Honor, given that I voted against it, I would prefer to send it back out, get more information. I don't think we got enough in here last week or the last meeting to make any real decisions on where we need to go. I'm open with this thing. I just want the public to tell us what they're interested in.
So, my biggest concern reason for putting it back out, if you look at the numbers, I think we had about 7 people officially come before council or contact us in writing. Only one of them was inside the city that was in favor of it. So I would like to hear some more input from our city residents. Are they in favor of it or not?
How would we word the motion to do what you want? That we move, that we defer action on this?
All we're going to do is defer action for a meeting or whatever council wishes
At
to
least
do.
one meeting.
Yeah.
So we basically establishing another public hearing or
No, not do a public hearing. Just give them a chance to contact you privately.
It's my understanding that we're not asking for people to come before us in a meeting stance. It's anything other than that.
Yeah.
So what if residents come to the actual meeting next time and want to voice input? So it's basically a public hearing.
If council wants to set another public input, we'll set another
We
public
did,
input.
yeah. It wasn't. Our last one was not a public hearing.
It was just a public input.
Yeah, it was.
Would
Public.
you rather have another public input? We're fine with that. We can do that.
I wouldn't be against that at all.
I personally think we've had it.
I think we did too, but I'd still like to give people the opportunity. I'll make a motion that we defer action on this until our next meeting. Give the public, and we publicize to the public that we are interested in what they have to say and to contact us.
To contact you privately, not at the privately. I have a motion by Councilmember Bramlett.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Dry. Further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed? 5-2. And let me say, several people have contacted after they heard this. Please, if you have comments, contact one of your council members and let them hear. We would really like to know what the citizens of the city think, since we had very little input from the citizens inside the city. Thank you very much.
And
Sure.
I think
And I just want to add, too, to the mayor's point there, please, if we can put this on social media, newspaper, let's make sure that we ask all the residents to give us feedback. You know, when you looked at and I made the motion last time, the reason being that when we looked at the urban archery ordinance that we had, if the goal was to thin out the population of deer, I didn't think it was really, we didn't think it was really working. I mean, over a 2-year span, the same amount of deer density that we have in Albemarle, they have in Concord, we had taken 13, they took 32. So if our goal is to truly decrease the population, we need to take a more aggressive stance in the ordinance to ensure that happens.
We just need to hear from people in the city. The original request came from outside the city. We have heard from only one person inside the city that has requested that we proceed publicly.
Sure.
So I think you just need to give them another opportunity to contact you. And then if we don't hear anything, proceed any way council proceed.
I agree.
Okay. Number 5, consider request to move stop signs at the intersection of Monza Drive and Pond Street.
Move approval.
and Mr. Craig, I don't see him, but he was notified, right?
Yeah, he came forward at the last meeting. Motion by Councilmember Bramlett to approve. Second by Councilmember Hall. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, consider a special event permit for Stanley County YMCA. Come on, Cassie, you're in.
Come on, Cassie, it's okay.
You got the name tag.
We won't get you.
You won't bite me. My request to you is to close the streets for going to have a Stanley Kids Triathlon on May 19th, and it will be from 4:30 in the afternoon until 6:30, roughly. It might be shorter than that time period. But we want to make sure that our kids are safe when they are cycling on the roads and running on the roads. So we are requesting that the city close Depot Street from, I believe it is Chestnut to North. And I have requested DOT to also close First Street from Main Street to Salisbury. That would allow the kids to be able to cycle completely around in the I believe you have a map that's on your request, the route around the YMCA, and then they would be able to run down from the park down to Main Street and back without having to worry about vehicular traffic.
The people on Ludlow, Glen, Franklin, and Wilson would be able to cross from the 2nd Street.
If they needed to move, if any residents that were in that area would be allowed to move back and forth as long as they, were aware that there were cyclists on the road and they would be careful.
Move approval.
Second.
Ms. Hall, that approval would be contingent on DOT approval of
Yes,
First Street, correct?
First Street.
And also inclusive of waiving the fee.
Oh, yeah, and waive that fee.
All right. Motion by Councilmember Hall.
I'll second
Second by
that.
Councilmember Dry. Further discussion?
Right there's that fee.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 7 is information only. Our employee picnic will be May the 17th. I encourage you to get that on your calendar and please come out and socialize with the employees on that day.
Food's good, too.
Yes, you can't complain about the food, can you? Come around the table, Mr. Ferris.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Townsend. Ms. Hughes.
No comments?
Mr. Aldridge.
No, sir.
Ms. Hall.
Nothing.
Mr. Dry.
I can't believe
Mr. Whitley.
Oh, my gosh. Is it me?
Oh, it's Chris.
We can still set a record.
No, I've already made my comments.
Shoot. Okay, real quick, just a couple things from RPO. FYI, Ridge Street at Carter Acres, there's going to be a roundabout built out there on Ridge Street at Carter Acres. That's been approved from the safety pot. Recently, there was another fatality on Northeast Connector, so they're putting a left turn lane in on Northeast Connector onto Moss Springs.
Okay.
So I feel like that might be helpful. The pedestrian sanctuary down at Market Station, has been approved and funded. I just don't have a timeline. She couldn't give me.
I think it was requested, please not start after this coming weekend anyway with the Bonanza.
It hasn't even been bid yet.
Okay. So it's not been bid. We're still looking at least a couple of months.
Oh, yeah, probably. The other thing is we had a presentation from COG, and one of the things they mentioned was a project that they're doing. I know Marcia probably knows a lot more about it than I do. It's the intersection of economic development, transportation, and land use. It's a study thing they're doing. They're having a meeting April 30th for Anson and Stanley County. Not sure where yet, but we have a list of people to invite. I need to get with y'all to add some more names to that for this week. I put your names on there. I put Kevin's on there. I want you to look at the list and see if there's some other folks we need to add to that tonight, if you could.
Mr. Brown? Anyone in the audience have anything to bring before council?
I did have one thing I wanted to bring up. I just wanted to express condolences to the family of Woody Durham. Woody Durham. Sorry?
Beringer.
Woody Durham.
Woody Durham?
The voice of the Tar Heels.
I'm sorry. Yes,
the voice of the Tar Heels. If you go to his Wikipedia site and look, he spent. It talks about Albemarle and how influential Albemarle was in his life. And he passed away in Chapel Hill, I think, on March the 7th. So he was very, played football at Albemarle High School. Also was sang in the chorus there as well. So just wanted to express condolences to the family of Woody Durham.
Thank you, Ms. Conroy.
Always scares me when she comes up there. Money.
This has nothing to do with the city.
money.
This year I was at a meeting, and, well, I guess I should first say that I'm dancing with the stars for the Butterfly House. So I wanted to ask each of you individually if you would sponsor me and Kelly, or not necessarily sponsor, but if you'll donate to the Butterfly House using my name and Kelly Louder's name so we get votes. But I wanted to say a little bit about the Butterfly House so that it's heard out, on the media there. The Butterfly House serves the needs of abused and neglected children. They provide evaluation and supportive services for possible victims of child maltreatment, which includes sexual, emotional, physical abuse, neglect, drug endangerment, and witness to violent crime. In 2015, there were 258 cases of substantiated child abuse or neglect in Stanley County. Referrals come from the Department of Social Services, law enforcement, and healthcare providers. The teams include members from Stanley, Anson, Montgomery, and Richmond counties. The Butterfly House creates a pleasant and comforting environment for the children as they conduct the medical evaluation, which includes a private interview and physical exam. A specially trained nurse questions the child in a private setting. The team watches the proceedings via closed-circuit television to prevent the child from having to repeat these disturbing details in multiple interviews. A certified medical examiner and nurse perform a physical exam, collect evidence, and treat the child as needed. A victim advocate, who is also a social worker, evaluates the needs of the child and the family to make referrals for follow-up services. Counseling is often recommended. The victim advocate also tells the child and the family what to expect as the case proceeds. This has been a cause that the city has been behind from the beginning. Ms. Hall was in the first group of dancers. So there are 24 dancers, and they asked us to get started with our donations now. So if I may, I would like to hand you something that if you choose, you would be able to send your donation to the Butterfly House. May I?
Mr. Bramley, he'll pass them around for us.
Just going last year, there's 58 cases.
Last year.
How many were prosecuted?
Of that 258, that might have been all 4 counties. Was it all 4 counties, or was that just Stanley County case?
The information I have says Stanley County.
Stanley.
How many were prosecuted
Well,
out of 258?
Well, I don't know that.
That's disturbing.
It is. It is. And it's a cause that our police have been greatly involved in. Last year, 2 of the officers danced, and I mean, they had really raised a lot of money, but they are involved all the time, every day, not just in the dancing. And I think it's a very worthy cause, and hope that you'll support this organization. Thank you.
I questioned whether Kelly Louder could dance. But
Well, we talked today. We don't know what we're doing yet.
Ms. Conway, here's some extra ones.
Plenty of Pepsi.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have anything to bring before council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11-3 to discuss the city of Albemarle versus Chucky L. Nance and consult with attorney.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Dry.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Aldridge. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.